Ahem. Well, well. Your Honor, I think it's about time for me to step in here. Ah! Mr. Now, don't worry about a thing. I'm just here to put these wild theories to rest. So, you finally decided to show yourself. What choice did I have? PR isn't really my job, but I can't allow you to get so far out of hand like this. Yep. This is the theme song from the end of the first case. You bastard. How dare you show your face in front of me like this? Yep, this is the theme song from the end of the first case. It's all connected. It's all connected. To everything that you've taken from me. Prosecutor Tall. So then, Nathan Maggs, have you come to testify for us? Testify? What if that's how you want to do things? I trust that'll be alright with you, Your Honor. Yes, of course, sir. This court will now hear the testimony of Nathan Maggs. Yep, this judge was paid off. My defense. I'm innocent. Wait, that's it. I don't believe there's anything else to be said, is there? It's pretty obvious to everyone here that I didn't kill Dorr. Me being at the crime scene is just something the defendant made up on a whim. In case you haven't noticed, he doesn't seem to like me very much. Don't you agree, Your Honor? Yes, definitely. Yeah, how could even trust that prosecutor? I think they should try and frame someone like that. Our lawyers are crooks. I didn't call it the dark age of the law for nothing. Well, that turned around. In a hurry? Who the heck is running this show? Now then, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination. I think there has to be a testimony first before I can cross-examine it. Well. I don't know what you're looking over here for. It's pretty obvious what you need to do here. Yeah, I guess so. Well, the obvious thing to do here is present my attorney's badge. Why did I even do that? Okay. Do you mind giving me a little bit more to work with here? Like what, exactly? Like what proves that you didn't kill the victim? Simple. I have an alibi. You see, I was working late in my office. I didn't leave until 10 at night. A full hour after Matt was killed. Alibi, huh? I wonder. Something or someone tell us when Maggs left the office that night? Yes. Fine. I'll call your bluff. Because there's a way for us to find out what time you really left your office at. I was gonna say, do we have a copy of Brooke's testimony? No, but we can reference Brooke herself. There's one person that can tell us the truth. I would like to call Brooke Keeper to the stand. The receptionist, I see. She stands at the front desk. Surely she would have seen the witness leaving the building. By all means, call her down. I'm not liking that confident look that he's got. Please state your name and occupation for the record. Brooke Keeper. I'm a receptionist at Redco. Do you know why you've been called here today, Miss Keeper? Yes. I've been watching the trial from the gallery. So I guess that you already know what I'm about to ask you. Go on, Brooke. Tell them. I wonder if this is what changes if, Go on, Brooke. Tell them. On the night of the crime, I was at my desk as usual. I was there until 9 in the evening, about 15 minutes after the murder had occurred. So this is what she said yesterday. And? Did Nathan Maggs pass you by at Any point? No. Mr. Maggs did not leave his office before the murder occurred. Well, I was telling the truth. Sorry, Miss Keeper. I know that you're lying to protect your boss. Lying? I assume you have proof of this, Apollo Justice? I do. Because what Miss Keeper has just told us contradicts a testimony that we've already heard. A testimony? Miss Keeper's statement contradicts this person's testimony. Brooke Keeper. Miss Keeper, I need to apologize to you. I should have told you the truth this morning. But what kind of man Nathan Maggs really is. Maybe then you wouldn't have gone to such extreme lengths like you did today. Because we both know that you haven't been entirely truthful. You've even gone back on your own testimony. What do you mean? Remember what you told the court yesterday? Besides the night guards, I was the last person to leave the building. I remember seeing Mr. Dorr, the victim, leaving some time earlier. You said yourself that you were the last person to leave the building. So admit it, you're covering for Maggs, aren't you? I'm sorry. I've been lying to you. Buck, don't! I'm sorry, sir. I knew all along that Mr. Maggs had left the building before the murder. I saw him myself at 8:20, 5 minutes after Matt Dorr had gone. 8:20? Means he could have killed Dorr himself. After hearing Mr. Maggs lie in court today, I didn't know what to think. I couldn't bear to believe that the man I had admired for so long and devoted my own life to was a murderer. Which is why you lied. I understand. Poor Miss Keeper. It must have been hard for her. I'm sorry to have to put you through this, Miss Keeper. Believe me when I tell you that you did the right thing. Because thanks to your testimony just now, you know that Nathan Maggs could have been at the scene of the crime that night. That's not all, because we now know that Maggs has lied about his alibi. Care to explain all of this, Nathan Maggs? It seems that you're onto something, Apollo Justice. Keep in mind that it's rude to address people by their full names. Pot calling kettle black. Your Honor, I believe that another testimony is in order. Yes, well. Is that alright with you, witness? Fine, I'll play along. Is it me? Or did Bisvold Karma suddenly getting a lot nicer all of a sudden? She's probably come to the same conclusion that we have. And that's good for us, because we're going to need her help. Especially when Maggs has the judge in his pocket like this. Very well. Witness, please explain to us about your actions here today. Alright. Why I lied. But why lie? Okay. We're gonna quickly rewind us. I'm quickly gonna rewind this and see what happens when we tell Brooke the truth. Yes. So, let's see what changes. Do you mind giving me a little bit more to work with here? Like what exactly? What proves that you didn't kill the victim? Simple. I have an alibi. You see, I was working late in my office. I didn't leave until 10 at night, a full hour after Matt was killed. Alibi, huh? I wonder. Something or someone tell us what Maggs left the office that night? Ooh? Brooke! Miss Keeper? Please forgive the intrusion, but something I'd like to say. Brooke, please. I have this under control. Mr. Justice, what you told me this morning in the lobby, I didn't want to believe it. To think that the man I've admired and worked for all this time was a criminal was something I just couldn't accept. Brooke, you talk too much. I'm sorry, sir, but... Your Honor, Mr. Maggs has lied to this court. No! What are you talking about? On the night that Matt died, I saw him leaving the Redco building. And that was at 8:20 p.m. 8:20? That's 25 minutes before the murder took place. Brooke, what is the meaning of this? My apologies, sir. I can't just stay quiet about this. Now that Mr. Justice placed his trust in me. Poor Miss Keeper. This has been hard for her. I'm sorry to put you through this, Miss Keeper. Plot twist. But believe me when I tell you that you did the right thing. Because thanks to your testimony just now, you know that Nathan Maggs could have been at the scene of the crime that night. That's not all, because we now know that Maggs lied about his alibi. Care to explain all of this, Nathan Maggs? It seems that you're onto something, Apollo Justice. But keep in mind that it's rude to address people by their full names. The irony. Your Honor, I believe that another testimony is in order. Yes, well, is that alright with you? Witness? Fine, I'll play along. Took me to just calm Von Karma suddenly get a lot nicer all of a sudden. She's probably come to the same conclusion that we have. That's good for us, because we're gonna need her help. Especially when Maggs has the judge in his pocket like this. Very well. Just please explain to us about your actions here today. So it did influence. It did influence there. When we don't tell Brooke, she tries to cover for Maggs. I was gonna say, despite... The only weird thing about that is that despite the obvious fact that she knows he's wrong and she's still going to say something, perjure herself, essentially. But, okay, this feels like the better outcome overall. Where we do tell her, and then with that thought planted in her mind, when this topic comes up, she doesn't think about blindly following her boss. She thinks for herself. She is free from the corporate control. Alright. Fine, I admit that I lied about my alibi. The truth is, I was scared about being falsely accused. I had left my office before the murder, but I wasn't at the crime scene. Besides, what reason would I even have to kill Matt? He was my assistant. I know wouldn't get rid of a useful person like that. That's why I swear Matt being a loyal doormat and bringing the letter from Tal to his boss, that got him killed. Oh, come on. You lied because you were worried about becoming a suspect? Oh, behave. What kind of a backwards excuse is that? Maybe you don't understand. Public image is very important to me, you agree? You see. Can't afford for any strange rumors to start. And if you hadn't noticed, that prosecutor bears quite the grudge against me. He's trying to frame me because of some ridiculous notion that I was involved in his sister's death. Of course, that's patently absurd. Prosecutor Tall wouldn't do that. Save your objections for the cross-examination, Apollo Justice. Yes, indeed. The defense may begin. Oh, Your Honor. I hope you understand that my time is very precious to me. Oh, yes, of course. This court will not tolerate baseless objections, Mr. Justice. Hey, isn't that going a bit far? I'm sorry. I didn't quite catch that. Wait a minute. I can do this all day, Mr. Justice. Hey! Okay. I'll take the first one. That's what I thought. I'm sure of it. This judge has it out for me. Yep. Why I lied. Alright, let's drop a save. Is pressing in to get us shut down. Surely you realize how suspicious that makes you look. Why take the risk? As I said, the defendant seems to bear a grudge against me after the incident 2 months ago. And now to claim that he saw me at the crime scene. I panicked because I was worried about being framed. figured that if I had an alibi, then I wouldn't be in as much danger of being a suspect. That's understandable, so long as you stick to the truth from now on, witness. I give you my word, Your Honor. Yeah, right. You little actors and fool me, Mags. Okay, good. We don't get penalized for pressing. Yet. This feels baseless. But you said yourself that there was no evidence against you. What made you so worried about What made you so worried all of a sudden? Don't play dumb. You must know what I'm talking about. False charges and fabricated evidence are hardly rarities these days. The defendant is a prosecutor, after all. If he wanted me to take the fall for the murder, it would be impossible for him to pull off. More of this Dark Age of the Law crap. I don't think I can combat this statement. I should move on. Good move. Alright. But you can't prove that. Hey. The burden of proof is on you, Apollo Justice. You must prove your claims with evidence, understand? Do you even have any solid proof that Max was at the crime scene that night? No. Besides, what reason would I even have to kill Matt? We could use Tal's letter. So you're saying you don't even have a motive? I know. Oldest excuse in the book, right? But it's true. Nobody's been hit harder by Matt's death than I have. Oh? And why is that? Useful? In what sense? This may surprise you, but I'm not the best at keeping on top of things. Matt was always the one that arranged my meetings and such. I hate to say it, but things have slowed down greatly at Redco since his passing. As a businessman, I would never put myself in such a position on purpose. What if there was more than just money on the line? Proving motive may be easier than I first thought. Yes. Well, we've got an actual testimony now. Yeah, but finding something to object to is a different matter. I really don't have any definitive proof that Max is the killer right now. I think the best course of action for right now is to try and prove the possibility. That's still much easier said than done. Alright. Let us do the thing. It's Tal's letter. I wouldn't say that you don't have a motive, Mags. After all, it would need to be kept quiet, right? Interesting. Do go on. This letter was sent to the offices of Matt Dorr by the defendant. The victim then promptly informed you of its existence. In short, you knew about their meeting ahead of time. You knew that Dorr would crack under enough pressure. Which is why you had to silence him by any means necessary. Interesting. You followed the victim to the crime scene without his knowing. That's when you killed him to keep him from talking. While we were trying so desperately to hide? What were we trying to hide? Okay, so it's any number of things are made related to Emily Tal. I presented her profile, and it also pulled up the newspaper article. The fire in which Emily Tal lost her life. We were trying to hide the truth behind that incident. That was why Matt Dorr had to die. I'm afraid there's a flaw in that reasoning, Apollo Justice. Wouldn't the witness have simply killed the defendant instead? That's right. Why would I have killed my own assistant for such a reason? It's not that simple, I'm afraid. You probably thought that Matt would betray you again, in the future. That's why you saw fit to silence him then, before he leaked the truth to anyone else. That's not all. There's a much bigger reason for what you did. Oh? Let's hear it. Had Tal been killed during the meeting with the victim? It's quite likely that Dorr himself would have been charged for his murder. I'm sure that the last thing you want to do is give the police a reason to investigate Redco. Not only that, but there's one more thing to consider. There's no doubt that being spotted by Tal at the scene of the crime was not part of your plan. Instead, you were expecting him to take the fall for Matt's murder. Were the defendant to be arrested, he would no longer be able to continue his investigation. It's unlikely that the police would follow up on his claims that he had been found guilty. That would pretty much leave you and your company in the clear. Interesting deduction. It certainly does. It certainly makes a lot of sense. Well, Mags, care to respond? This is why you killed Matt Dorr, isn't it? That's quite a theory, Mr. Justice. A game theory. And yet I'm afraid there's quite a big problem with it. And suddenly Nathan Maggs goes from Jeff Bezos to MatPat. Oh no. Do tell. You claim that I killed Matt to cover up the incident from 2 months ago. That only makes sense if I really do have something to hide about that fire. You want the truth? Emily Tal died in an accident. That's it. Or do you honestly buy into the defendant's ridiculous theory that I had something to do with it? That's the only way that any of this makes sense. Emily Tal's death, if it truly was an accident, so I'm afraid that all of your speculation comes crashing down. So tell me, Apollo Justice, how do you intend to prove your claim? I collected all of this evidence yesterday. I knew that it would come into play sooner or later. You're not about to say what I think you are, right? I don't think there's much of a choice at this stage. Only one way to find the truth of that incident. Nathan Maggs, I want you to testify about the fire 2 months ago. What? Here we go. Now see here, defense. You can't just demand a witness to testify about unrelated events like this. Unrelated, Your Honor? You don't really believe that, do you? Whatever interest you may have in this trial, even you can't deny a link between these two events. Interest? What on earth are you? That's enough. You want to hear about 2 months ago? So be it. I can't wait to crush that confidence of yours. He's not even trying to be subtle about the whole supervillain thing anymore. Yeah? Knew it'd come to this soon enough. One-on-one battle of wits with the man behind it all. I know that I'm up to the task. This is a dangerous path you're taking, Apollo Justice. You do realize what happens the moment you falter, yes? The defendant will be found guilty. The evidence against Mr. Tal still leaves little room for doubt. I can only tolerate your stalling for so long, defense. So what are we waiting for? Let's get straight to it, shall we? It's time for me to put an end to this once and for all. Ahem. The fire. Okay. The incident occurred at 2:30 p.m. on the 13th of February. It was caused by an electrical fault on the 6th floor of the building. Emily Tal was in her office at the time. The fire spread and the flames blocked the only exit to her office. Unable to escape, she died from smoke inhalation. Needless to say, I had nothing to do with what happened. Alright, let's start sorting through this evidence. I see. What a truly tragic accident. Ah, bull. So, Mr. Justice, what do you think? Why don't you let me conduct my cross-examination before you start jumping to conclusions? Very well. You may begin, Mr. Justice. Did you see anything wrong with that testimony? I'm not sure. I'll have to take a close look at the evidence I have with me. Showtime! Oh boy. What are Miss Tal's normal working hours? A typical 9 to 5 shit. A typical 9 to 5 shit on weekdays, I recall. That was a hell of a typo. That was a hell of a typo. Of all the things to misspell. Of all the things to misspell. Oh god. was a Friday, so there's no doubt she would have been in her office at the time. Friday. Spooky, isn't it? Yes, someone in the comments of part 1 mentioned that the fire took place on Friday the 13th. It was caused by an electrical fault on the 6th floor of the building. That's a nice touch that they reference that fact. Remind me, what was the source of this fault? It was one of the lighting fixtures. A loose wire or something. Were you aware of the problem before the fire? Of course not. I would have had it fixed. The last thing I'd wanted to put one of my own employees in danger. Everything you said matches the file so far. Then again, I do not jump to conclusions. The department's investigation into the matter certainly didn't last long. Maybe I can't trust everything that's written in that report. Faulty evidence. So we have to rely on the objective facts. The office diagram, the phone. Alright, what can we get about the office? What was Miss Tal's job exactly? Why did she have her own office? Wasn't she new to the company? I promoted her and moved her to a new office about a week before she died. That's suspicious. She joined the Red Corp marketing team only a few months prior. But she was so good at what she did that I saw fit to reward her efforts. She was given her new office a week before her death. That sounds like too much of a coincidence. I wonder if that was around the time that Mags found out that Emily was really an Interpol agent. This seems to be the point we need to question. How do you know that's what happened? The same conclusion that the police came to in their investigation. Miss Tal's office did only have the one exit. That it was blocked off during the fire is not impossible. But Mags really was behind the fire. I doubt that he would have given her the chance to escape. This is what it's going to come down to, isn't it? Because the sofa wasn't on the list of shit to replace. Which means that that didn't burn. And if that burned, that would have reasonably been a reason why the flames would have blocked the door. Smoke inhalation. It's the most common cause of death in a fire. The smoke from an indoor fire is often toxic and can suffocate the victim. No doubt this is what killed Miss Tal as well. It does match up with what the report says. Care to explain that statement? What's there to explain? The building caught fire by accident. And the only reason that Miss Tal died is because the flames were blocking her escape. Surely you're not going to suggest that I could have caused these things to happen. Maybe not. But your statement only holds true if that really was what happened. Oh. So you think you can do better than a police investigation? I can't wait to hear this. Think. There's something that contradicts the facts we know about the fire. Okay, so what's the plan? Still working on that one. Shit. This case was already investigated by the police. Do you really think that there's any more to find? I don't know, but I'm not sure if we should be treating the police department's findings as the absolute truth. My theory is right that Mags must have been behind the fire at Redco. Time to look over the evidence once more. We're gonna go out on a limb here and present the note. It is the sofa that's gonna do it. You may have tricked everyone else in here, but you can't fool me, Mags. Clearly the police investigation into the fire wasn't as thorough as we thought. What are you implying? Simple. There's a clear contradiction here. Interesting. Please enlighten us, Apollo Justice. I'd like the court to take a look at this. And that is? This is a note written by Brooke Keeper. It's a list of all the objects in Miss Tal's office that needed replacing after the fire. If we compare this list to the floor plan, there's a clear problem. Direct your attention to the east side of the room, near the door. Had the flames been blocking the area, they would have damaged the furniture around it. And yet, none of these objects appear anywhere on Miss Keeper's list. This discrepancy can only mean one thing. The fire was not blocking Emily Tall's access to the door. Oh my! But, Mr. Justice, what does this mean exactly? If the flames weren't blocking the exit, then why didn't Miss Tall escape the room? After all, there shouldn't have been anything to get in her way. There's only one explanation. Something else stopped her from leaving. Her escape must have been sabotaged. Now you've gone too far. Think about what you're saying. I sabotaged the door to her office. It's possible. The doors at Redco functioned by an electronic locking system. Are you seriously going to make that argument? Take a look at that report again. As you can see, the door to Miss Tall's office was functioning normally after the fire. I've already proven that this report is inaccurate. You don't believe me? Why don't you ask Brooke? Miss Keeper? I'm afraid that it's true, Mr. Justice. The door to Miss Tall's office was still operating normally after the fire. I myself was able to open it only hours after the fire had been extinguished. Oh, but you deleted her records. If you'd actually deleted her records before the fire, her fingerprints wouldn't be in the database anymore. Therefore, she couldn't access the fingerprint door. Say what? Therefore, that resolved the contradiction. It would appear that we've reached a dead end. So the question remains. If the door to Miss Tall's office was not obstructed, why didn't she use it? Indeed. I suggest we return to the cross-examination. This matter must be placed under further scrutiny. I don't get it. Max would have sabotaged Emily's escape, but how? Alright. Alright, let's press this new statement. Remind me of how the electronic doors at Redco work. They run off a fingerprint recognition system. As long as the person's fingerprint matches with the company database, the door will open. Of course, the person needs to be authorized for that area of the building. Who was authorized to use Miss Tall's door? Let's see, there was Miss Tall herself, Brooke, the cleaners and security guards, as well as a few other employees working in the same department as her. Of course, Matt and I are authorized to open any door in the building. And the door was functioning normally for every one of those people. As I said before, the door to Miss Tall's office worked as it was supposed to. I don't get it. The door is still allowing authorized personnel through. And why didn't Miss Tall use it herself to escape? I don't know. Whatever the reason, I bet that Max is the one behind it. Alright, fortunately we have evidence to prove this now. And that's the profile that mentions that her information was deleted from the database. I'm not so sure about that. To put it simply, on the day of the fire, Emily Tall would not have been able to operate that door. What are you talking about? The door was fully functional. Oh, don't get me wrong. The door was working exactly as it was supposed to. What? Let's remind ourselves of how the fingerprint locks in Redco operate. When activated, the door compares the fingerprint with the company database. If it finds a match, the door is unlocked. What if the system isn't able to find a matching fingerprint? Obviously, the door wouldn't open. We heard something very interesting in our investigation yesterday. That was when we asked Miss Keeper to look up Emily Tall's company data. It would appear that all of Mr. Tall's company data, Miss Tall's company data was deleted the day she died. It struck me as odd. Why would they delete her data so soon after the accident? Of course, that's assuming the data really was deleted after the fire was extinguished. If it happened before the fire started, after Emily had already entered her office, then and there would have been no way for her to escape the fire that took her life. Miss Keeper, please just come down. Please come down to the stand. Yes, Mr. Justice? Tell me, how many people have authorization to edit and delete employee data? Normally, security handles employee data. However, the process normally takes a few days at least. Otherwise, Mr. Maggs is the only one with the power to edit the company database. Oh my. What do you think you're doing, Brooke? My sincerest apologies, sir. This is the only way to explain why Emily Todd didn't escape her office on the day of the fire. The only one that could have made it happen is you, Nathan Maggs. Gah! So, it really was you. Maggs, I'll make you pay for this. I wasn't expecting this. You've got him on the ropes, Apollo. Now's your chance to go in for the kill. Right. Maggs, you were the one behind the fire 2 months ago. You're responsible for the death of Emily Tall. That's why you killed Matt Dorr. Am I right? Rumble? Rumble, rumble? Enough. What the? Your Honor? I think we're done here. What? You can't leave now. Oh, but I believe I can. The truth is that you still lack decisive evidence. Or can you prove that I was the one that started the fire 2 months ago? Well, no, but... And why would I even want Miss Tal dead? Do you have evidence of that? Ugh. Only I still had that letter. But how do you explain the door that deleted data? I guess there must have been a computer bug that deleted Miss Tal's company profile. Technology, am I right? Oh, come on. You can't seriously expect us to believe that. Well, Your Honor? Yes, of course. What it says? Let's not be so quick about this. There are still some things I want to ask the witness about. After all, you do want to see justice done, don't you, Mr. Maggs? That's not my problem. Besides, it's quite clear that the defense has failed to prove Tal's innocence. He's still trying to get Prosecutor Tal convicted, with the judge listening to everything he says. It seems that this trial has reached its conclusion. Oh boy. What the heck's going on with this trial? Are they really going to let that guy just walk away? It's obvious that he killed that girl in the fire. He probably killed the victim in this case as well, if you ask me. Don't let that criminal get away! It must really be the dark age of the law if that judge is listening to a word he says. Public opinion is turning. Maggs wanted to use the dark age of the law to his advantage. Bonus points in getting a prosecutor convicted. Order! Order in the court. Well, witness, it might not be my place to say, but it seems that it would be quite bad for business were you to leave right now. Prosecutor Von Karma. That was a nice bit of timing by the crowd. I see how it is. Not too bad for you, because I have proof of my innocence. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Miss Von Karma? It seems like we're on the same page. Come then, show the court your perfect evidence against the defendant. Von Karma managed to squeeze another testimony out of him. Still, that was way too close. It was too tense to breathe for the last 5 minutes. Breathe, Athena. Breathe slowly, slowly. Still, it's pretty nice to have the gallery on our side for once. True. Although I don't think they should be getting involved anyway. At least the opinion went from the intended response of Maggs, which is, he's a prosecutor, he's guilty, dark edge of the law, framing evil, to, this guy's a seedy motherfucker, and he's probably a criminal. Well, here it's probably time for the testimony. Witness, please explain this proof of your innocence to the court. Gladly. Von Karma earned us this opportunity. Better not waste it. So Von Karma knows what he's going to be talking about, I assume. There's still one more decisive piece of evidence against the defendant. Even if I really was at the crime scene that night, couldn't have shot Matt. The pistol that Tal had with him when he was arrested is the murder weapon. Take a look. My fingerprints weren't found anywhere on it. The only prints on there belonged to Tal, which means that he's the one who fired it. And that's decisive proof that I couldn't possibly be the one who murdered Matt. Swap the guns. There was a gun swap that took place. With the added information that Tal supposedly saw Mags in the alleyway in the shadows. And we know that Tal dropped the gun. Dropped his gun. And then picked up the gun when he got back to the crime scene. There's a high possibility that there's a gun swap going on. We know there's a gun in Mags' desk. Mags did the shooting. Waited for Tal to leave. Swapped the guns. Wiped his prints off. Swapped the guns. Tal came back, picked up the gun. And he's now has his prints of the murder weapon. GG. The murder weapon. I knew we'd be getting back to this point eventually. I see, that certainly does sound, well, decisive. I seem to know quite a bit about this case, witness. Yes, I've been keeping a close eye on this trial. After all, I'm directly linked to the victim. Well, Apollo Justice, you know what you need to do? Right. Oh, Mr. Justice, I hope you realize that I won't take kindly to any mistakes this late in the trial. Gulp. It went up again. Uber penalty. Alright, let's do this. Not forget that there's a lot of evidence that points to you as well. That might be the case, but it's entirely circumstantial. However, the evidence against the defendant is quite conclusive. I understand that you still deny that you were at the crime scene? Of course. There's no actual evidence proving I was there. Unless you were just holding on to something this whole time. Didn't think so. Can you be completely sure of that? Of course. This is the gun that Tal took from the police records room. The rifling marks show that it had fired the single shot that took Matt's life. Is that right, Miss Von Karma? Yes. Those are the facts as we understand them. If any of those statements were important. This records room. Please add the statement about where the pistol came from to your testimony. Tisk. If you really think it'll help. I feel like this is also going to come back to the fact that Edgeworth specifically mentioned that everything in that records room had an evidence tag on it. Just in case this pressing that progresses it, we're going to press the rest of this. Just a big mystery. We could have just wiped them off. Ah, but that would have meant that Tal's prints would also be wiped. As you can see, his prints are still cleanly on the murder weapon. Okay, so then what if you were wearing gloves at the time of the murder? Then the police would have seen clear signs of glove marks on the pistol. There were none. Besides, that still wouldn't explain how the defendant's prints got onto the weapon. Am I missing something? According to Prosecutor Tal, he did fire the pistol on the night of the crime. It was just a warning shot. The bullet didn't actually hit the victim. This was the only other bullet found at the scene. However, it does not share the same rifling marks as the murder weapon. Yes. Exactly. The defendant was clearly just lying. That's the piece that fits all this together. That's the piece that fits all this together. Damn it, how am I supposed to explain this discrepancy? I don't think Prosecutor Tall was lying, but... So what you're saying is... Prosecutor Tall was the only one that had handled the murder weapon. That means that you couldn't have shot the victim yourself. Exactly. That's a point you failed to explain until now. Till you do, you won't be able to claim that I had any involvement in this crime. There's no way that Mags wasn't involved. To prove that he could have been the one who shot the victim. Alright, let's do this. Looks like this is gonna be Mags' last stand. What do you think? I honestly don't know how he could possibly explain the murder weapon. Mr. Tall says he didn't shoot the victim. He only fired a warning shot. The only other bullet at the scene wasn't even fired from his pistol. What the heck, right? I wonder if there's a way to explain that contradiction. Is there any proof that this is the same pistol that Tall took from the police? The murder weapon matches the description of the gun from the evidence room. And it was withdrawn by the defendant himself. He's admitted this much to us. I wonder, can I swap the statement for a different one? Don't swap. I feel like this is going to be the one. Present Emily's phone, the thing with the evidence tag? Maybe your evidence isn't as decisive as you claim it to be. Consider this. What if the pistol that was found at the scene was not the same pistol that Tall took from the police records room? Where are you going with this defense? I'd like to submit this to the court. It's a piece of evidence from the fire 2 months ago. Haven't we already finished discussing that incident? We have. I'd like you to take a close look at this phone. Looks like the pistol at the scene was being stored in the evidence room at the police department. Yet, there's one big difference between the two. There's an evidence tag attached to this phone. There's a tag? All of the evidence kept at the police department has a tag used to identify it. However, there is no such tag attached to this pistol. So what? Tal probably just tore it off. He intended to return it. That's unlikely, after all. Prosecutor Tall was planning on returning the pistol to the evidence room. Tampering with the evidence would only put him at risk of getting caught. Easy for me to say. So what does all this mean? The missing tag suggests that the pistol is not the one that Tall took from the evidence room. And if that's true, it can only mean one thing. The two guns were swapped the night of the crime. Swapped! Here we go. Wait a minute. How could I possibly have swapped Tall's pistol for the one at the scene? Two guns could easily have been swapped after the murder. And what happened after the murder? The victim had died and Prosecutor Tall dropped the pistol he was holding and left the scene. This was the perfect opportunity for the real killer to switch the two pistols. Prosecutor Tall had gone to call the police. At that point, all he had to do was wipe your prints from this pistol, the murder weapon. That's when you picked up the pistol Tall had dropped and replaced it with your own. Tall's fingerprints must have reached the first murder weapon when he returned to I am not talking gooder anymore. We've been at this for a while. Tall's fingerprints must have reached the murder weapon when he returned to the scene. Wouldn't he have noticed that he was picking up a different gun? Remember that the crime scene was very dark at the time. Prosecutor Tall probably didn't even notice that the pistol was different. Mr. Justice, this all sounds a bit difficult to believe. I don't even know where the second pistol could be. That's easy. I know exactly where you can find Tal's original pistol. You do? The pistol that was taken from the police department can be found at the Redco building. We saw something interesting in our investigation yesterday. It seems that the witness keeps a pistol in his desk at the Redco building. A pistol that is quite similar to the murder weapon in this case. You snake! You were snooping in my office! You beat me up and threw me out. You deserve it. So you admit that there was a pistol in your desk? Fine. I admit it, but so what? You still can't prove that it's the same pistol. That's where you're wrong, Mags. Because there's one piece of evidence that can link the pistol in your office to this crime. The bullet. Prosecutor Talk claimed to have fired a warning shot when he was at the crime scene. However, the only other bullet found at the scene didn't match up with the murder weapon. And now we know why. Because the defendant didn't fire the murder weapon to begin with. All I have to do is compare the rifling marks of this bullet to the pistol in your office. If they match up, it will prove that you swapped the two pistols. Your Honor, I suggest we send an investigation team to Redco immediately. Yes, well... Judge, you aren't so seriously going to listen to them, are you? You both know that the defense is just spouting nonsense. Yes, of course. Come on, Judge. Max is up to his tricks again. Athena? Your Honor, I'd think carefully about this if I were you. After all, you don't want to be taken the wrong way. What are you talking about? I never... All I'm saying is that it's probably in your best interest to allow the investigation. I'm sure everyone here in the courtroom today agrees. Yeah! We want justice! Don't let that guy get away! I will prove the investigation of the witness's offense. What do you think you're doing? Yes! Well played, Athena. Nice going, Athena. Not bad, right? I learned that trick from Simon. Now it's time to put this guy away once and for all. It's so perfect, too. It takes the dark age of the law. It's introduced in Dual Destinies, and we actually get visible public perception of this. Visible public reaction to this. And how it's swaying toward the truth. Now it's time to put this guy away once and for all. Ooh? Ms. Von Karma, have the results of the investigation arrived? They have. It would appear that there really was a .36 caliber pistol in Nathan Magg's office. This pistol matches the description of the one taken from the police records room. Upon testing, it was shown that the rifling marks do indeed match up with the bullet found at the crime scene. I knew it. I guess this means that the pistol in Mag's office really was the one from the police records room. It's very likely. Hell yeah! Touchdown. Hey, Mag's pistol. It's Mag's question mark pistol. Well, Nathan Maggs, what do you have to say to that? This proves that you were at the crime scene on the night of the murder. Great to give a Gay and Gant laugh? Nope, we can eat nothing. Seriously? All that build-up for nothing. Let me guess. You thought you had gotten the better of me, didn't you? But no such luck, I'm afraid. What could you possibly object to now? This pistol proves that you were at the crime scene. Let's see. Are you sure about that? There's still no conclusive evidence to prove that my pistol came from the police records room. After all, there's no tag on the gun either. You could have torn it off. I could have. Can you prove that I did? What about fingerprints? You could find Prosecutor Tull's prints of that pistol. The investigation team already checked. No prints could be lifted. It appears that the pistol has been wiped very recently. What can I say? I'm a bit obsessive when it comes to polishing things. You little snake. And have you seen how shiny my desk is? This bullet proves that the gun was fired at the crime scene. Maybe it was? Can you prove that I didn't fire it before Matt was murdered? Perhaps someone attacked me in that alley one evening and I used my pistol to scare them off. I highly doubt that this bullet has nothing to do with this case. Well, if you're so sure about it, then prove me wrong. Assuming you have the evidence, of course. Well, shit. Well, looks like I'm done here. I'll just get out of your hair and let His Honor hand down his verdict. Wait, you can't. Apollo Justice. Unless you have decisive evidence proving a link between Nathan Maggs and this case, then I'm afraid that this trial is over. No! I've come too far to fall down here. Apollo! Is there really nothing that we can do? I don't know! I don't have anything to prove I'm correct. A connection. This is your final chance. Either you prove your case now, or you allow the defendant to be declared guilty. You can't let that happen. I won't let Prosecutor Tull down. Not now. Since there is only one thing you can do. Solve the case. Right here. Right now. As the pieces are all in place, only you can tie them together. Von Karma's right. I've only got one option here. One more push. That's all I'll need. As long as I can link Maggs to this case, I'll have won. Look out, you pompous scumbag. Here comes justice. Oh yeah, let's see. Even after all the evidence we've thrown his way, Maggs still won't admit to being involved in the crime. The circumstantial evidence is almost strong enough to convict him. I still can't conclusively tie Maggs to this case. Maybe the evidence I have on hand can help with that. Evidence showed that Maggs could have been at the crime scene. Pistol from the scene, pistol from Maggs' desk. Pistol from the scene? Pistol from the scene? No, I don't think so. I've already discussed this pistol. I doubt there's anything more to be gained from it. Try that again. Oh shit. Pistol from Maggs' desk. Right. Pistol from inside Maggs' desk. Note that this pistol fired the second bullet found at the scene. What we can't prove is when that shot was fired. It's no good. Maybe I should approach this from a different angle. Now that I think about it, there's something odd about this pistol. Something about it contradicts one of the facts we know about this case. Two empty chamber. Oh, the court record said there's two empty chambers. Where's the contradiction with this pistol? The number of empty chambers. That's the fact about the evidence that we didn't bring up. There are two empty chambers in this pistol. It doesn't make sense, does it? Lindsay Stickler said that he heard two gunshots at the time of the murder. It means each gun was fired once. The pistol from Maggs' desk was clearly fired twice. When could this pistol have been fired a second time? Before the murder? During the murder? I genuinely don't know the answer to this one. Before, during, or after the murder? During? During the murder? After the murder? The pistol must have been fired after the murder. It's the only choice that makes sense, but I don't know why this pistol was fired twice. Or do I? It's a long shot, but I can think of one reason why Maggs fired the pistol a second time. Which is why this pistol was fired a second time? Alright, now we're getting into territory I'm uncertain about. Now we're getting into parts of this I'm uncertain about. Autopsy report, maybe. No, that's not it. Explain why this pistol was fired after the murder. Everything that's happened in the past few... Oh! 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 Phoenix Wright! Mags shot Phoenix with Tal's pistol. That's it! Mags was the one behind the attack on Mr. Wright. I've got just the way to prove it. Stop right there, Mags. I almost let you get away. I'm not about to let Prosecutor Tal down. And now... Oh boy, guitar remix. I finally have the evidence I need to seal your fate. What are you talking about? Mr. Justice? Do you really have more evidence to present this late in the trial? No, Your Honor. I don't currently have the evidence. Because, right now, it's with this person. Phoenix Wright? On the day of our investigation, Mr. Wright was shot by an unidentified assailant. Identified, that is, until now. Nathan Mags. You were the one that shot Mr. Wright. What? That's ridiculous. What reason could I possibly have to do something like that? Think about it. Mr. Wright has quite the reputation these days. There are many criminals around who would take their chances with him on the case. That's why you sought to remove him from the equation. But you couldn't possibly prove that I was the one who shot him. You think? As I said, the evidence I need is currently with Mr. Wright. Because all I need to do is analyze the marks on the bullet that was removed from him. If they match this gun, we'll prove that you're the one who shot him. No! I don't believe it. All this time and the answer was right there. But it still doesn't prove that I was the one who shot Matt. Don't play dumb with me, Mags. You were only acquainted with Mr. Wright the day of our investigation. There's no other reasonable motive for you to do what you did. That is the conclusive link between you and the murder of Matt Dorr. Well, Mags, I believe this is long overdue. It's finally time for you to confess. Rumble. Rumble. Oh boy, he's angry. Break the wine glass. Not bad. That was good. Very much Christoph inspired. I like the laughing spray. I can hardly believe it. Nobody's ever gotten the better of me like that. There's one thing I have learned from running a multi-million-dollar company. Is to know when to cut my losses. You win, Mr. Justice. I confess. So you admit it? But why? Why do all of this? Simple. I wanted power. I grew up with nothing. My family was poor. We struggled to survive. Did what I could to claw my way up to the top. Everything you see before you is the result of my own blood, sweat, and tears. Sure, some of it might not have been entirely ethical, may have broken some of the rules. I was about to let Interpol take it all away from me. And so you set up the fire 2 months ago. It would have been the perfect crime. That is until that prosecutor started sticking his nose in my business. Matt was weak. I knew that he would talk. That's why I had no choice but to silence him. You really are a monster. Don't act so surprised. None of you have any right to judge me. Deep down, we're all ready to abandon our own morality to get what we want. That's not true. We're not like you. Oh, really? We have a judge who will willing to convict an innocent man for a bit of cash, and then double-cross me when things start going the other way. A man who went so far as to coerce Matt, just to get to me. I prosecutor with a history of crooked court tactics. I mean, if by crooked court tactics you mean whipping the opposing counsel and witnesses, then okay. But the crooked court tactics in her history is mainly with her father. And then there's you, Mr. Justice. Can you really say that you believed in the defendant this whole time? What? When you came into my office that day, you were just as suspicious as anyone else. And yet there you stood, ready to defend a man you thought was a criminal. I understand. You were scared about how the public may react to a guilty verdict. You couldn't allow the dark age of the law to crawl its way back into the courts. So what if Tal really was the killer? Was a single life really worth plunging the legal world into darkness once more? Of course it wasn't. That's why. That's why you put your own feelings aside to get what you wanted. You see, you and I, Mr. Justice, we're the same. Ooh. Don't listen to him, Apollo. That's it. I've had enough of you, witness. Your Honor? Yes, of course. Bailiff, please take Mr. Maggs away. So long, Mr. Justice. Going out, calm and composed. That's possibly the scarier outcome to completely breaking down. It appears that we've finally reached the end of this trial. The defendant, please take the stand. Defendant, or rather, Prosecutor Tal, you were not the one who killed Matt Dorr. That's right. Suppose it's true. The cases that appear to be the simplest often end up being the most complex. I'm prepared to hand down my verdict this time. This court finds the defendant, Stan Tal. And he gets a smile, and with that, I'm pleased to say that court is adjourned. Yeah. Congratulations, Mr. Tal. I can still hardly believe that we managed to pull it off at the end. I can't thank the two of you enough for what you've done for me. Don't mention it. Right, Apollo? Apollo's still thinking about that. Yeah. Apollo? You're not still thinking about what Mag said before, are you? Well, maybe a little. It's not worth thinking about, trust me. I had lost all hope before and resigned myself to my fate. It was because you didn't stop believing in me that Mags was finally caught. I guess you're right. Yeah, snap out of it, you dope. Bob. Ouch, okay. Now did she just punch him lightly in the gut? Did she pinch his cheek? I guess to know these things. I still can't believe I just got an international criminal convicted. Trust me, we couldn't have hoped for a better outcome. Mr. Edgeworth and Prosecutor Von Karma. Interpol has had their eyes on Mags for a long time now. Now they're finally able to investigate Redco at length. With any luck, they should be able to eradicate Mags' criminal syndicate. Come to think of it, Prosecutor Von Karma, you were here on business with Interpol, right? Could it be that you came to America to investigate Mags? Nothing gets past you, does it, Apollo Justice? It's true. I came to this country to look into Redco. After the loss of one of our own agents. I mean my sister. I knew it. So you really were on our side the whole time. Well, not exactly. I really did believe that Prosecutor Tal was the killer. It was only after Mags took to the stand that I had realized my mistake. Prosecutor Von Karma, I really want to thank you. I would never have been able to catch Mags without you. Thought I wasn't about to let that man I've been tracking just walk away. Of course, I had to watch my step with that judge. Oh, I almost forgot. Apollo, don't we have something we need to give Prosecutor Tal? Huh? Me? Oh yeah. Why do we need to give Prosecutor Tal? We still have his badge in our record. That's right. The prosecutor's office isn't ready to lose you, Mr. Tal. I need your help to restore order to the courts. Chief Prosecutor. I won't let you down, sir. The thing about that sprite is that his age is listed as 32. He looks older than 32. Edgeworth is 35, and he still looks younger than 35. Definitely older than his main series. Definitely older than his main series sprites, but still not 35. I can't believe it's finally over. Mr. Justice? Ah, Brooke. Miss Keeper. I want to thank you for helping me understand. I wasn't sure how to face the truth about Mr. Maggs, but today made me realize something. I shouldn't dedicate myself so wholly to those that I idolize. Yes, important lessons. It's time for me to start living my own life. That sounds like a good idea. Thank you for all your help today. I couldn't have caught Maggs without your testimony. I'm glad that I could be of service. Paolo, I just realized something. I need to go let Mr. Wright know what happened today. That's true. Let me just grab my things there. Hey, where do you think you're going? Desmond, the hospital gets toilet duty this month. No way! Get back here, Athena! Hey, alright. Smoldering turnabout. Is that an N? Really good sprite this episode, even though we've seen Stan's sprite before. Let's see. Got Maggs was fantastic. Crime scene background aided by Lynn. Good stuff. Thought Root graphics. Thanks for playing. Oh, you're welcome. It was a good time. Feedback is greatly appreciated. Hey, I'm gonna get an Edgeworth picture this time. It's sort of the post-case graphic, same as how we got Emma in Case 1. Same as how in the Ace Attorney games, you get a big question mark silhouette highlighting the case, then once you beat the case, then you unlock the full background. Uh-oh. What's this? I hear that you're pretty good at what you do. Sir, I assure you that I'm the best there is. What about client confidentiality? Can you keep a secret? Of course. Trust is very important to me, you understand. Did Maggs hire Shelley to kill her to do something? Sounds like we have a deal then. Now here's what I need you to do. And once again we end with some ominous Team Cypher music. The interesting thing we didn't really talk about all that much is Maggs' parting comments to Apollo. I found those particularly interesting because, oh god, because they were a reflection on really the path that we take through these cases a lot of the time. Or we're uncertain if he was actually guilty. I was uncertain if he was actually innocent or not. He's so convinced that he was guilty. Evidence is stacked up so heavily. And we really only took this case at Edgeworth's behest. Because Tal being guilty. Now, was Edgeworth 100% telling the truth? That just the fact that a prosecutor being found guilty would bring back the dark age of the law? Or was he more, A, believing in his guy, B, a little bit of, hey, Francisca, Interpol has their eyes on this. So clearly, he couldn't actually have done it. Or even, well, hell, even if he did, clearly, if we get them on this case, we'll start digging some shit up. You know what I mean? There were cinematic parallels with the prosecutor being found guilty of a murder. One of the incidents leading into the dark age of the law. Found guilty of the murder and confessing to the murder as well. Very much meant to be a parallel to Black Will's case and his testimony and how we revisited that. It may have. Obviously, there'd be some hyper-awareness of the situation, mirroring the one that started it all. So yeah, I'm willing to believe that Apollo took this case primarily for that reason. Not being certain if he could actually win. And it just so happened that as the chips started to fall, and we realized that Mags really had the whole climate of the case working in his favor, and intentionally utilized it at times, it really turned around. And the longer it went on, the more we actually had reason to believe in him. Which is always a plus. So I think ultimately, while there can be some truth in Bag's comments, that we took the case to get what we want, it's a very cynical take on it. It's not like we're not going to approach it 100%. It just so happens that when we approach lawyering in this series 100%, we're putting our heart into it. And when we put our heart into it, the true heart of everyone involved comes out. So in conclusion, now that I actually got back to my original point, fuck right off, Mags, you Jeff Bezos, Matt Pat motherfucker.